So welcome back to some more Grand Theft Auto Liberty City stories. In this part, we will be completing the drive-by challenges that you have available to you in this game, and there's going to be 3 of these things, and we'll start off with the one that's located here in the Red Light District, across the street from the Sex Club 7. And the way that these work is you're going to hop on some type of motorbike, and then that activates doing the mission. So you're going to have this little mission cutscene play in the case here for this 9mm challenge. You have this fellow on a freeway, and he's not exactly a very competent driver, I don't think, and really none of these people that you do this challenge with are very competent. The AI is very erratic in their driving, so it's very seldom that they remain relatively still. You know, they're not really turning and swerving too often. You know, it's a rare occurrence, so you really have to make the most out of those instances. And you also have things like this, where like the person you're chasing after goes off-road for a moment, like on a sidewalk or whatever, and then you gotta avoid traffic and stuff. So there's a lot of different things that come into play. And going up hills and down hills is like the worst, because it's just so hard to maintain your, I guess, aimer or cursor on who you're trying to shoot at. It's just a real hellish experience, so I suppose it's probably even worse for the people that we're shooting at, but basically you have to kill 10 targets for this first one, for this first drive-by challenge, the 9mm one. So I suppose if you wanted to, you can get to your 10th kill, and then once you get to that point, you can just have the enemies blow you up, because you don't like die or anything. You just get teleported back to where you began the mission at. So that's quite nice that they don't like make you lose all your weapons and all that. You know, so that's a nice thing there. But either way, there's quite a few ways in which you can, I suppose, kill these people you're chasing after. I mean, you can. Well, I guess it's really only 2 ways. You can just blow up their car, or just shoot them through like the back windshield, or if they're exposed like these fellas are in their Stinger, then well, you can just shoot them straight up. You don't have to worry about shooting through a back window or anything. So it's usually just easier to just blow up the car, though. But you know, if you're a bit of a sharp shooter, then well, you know, go for just taking them out normally there. You know, maybe on a nice dinner date to Denny's or Red Robin's or something, you know, maybe McDonald's, Mickey D's as some may call it, but, you know, either way, gotta say, you know, I really enjoy this. I enjoy these first 2 missions that we're going to be doing. The third one, though, takes place on Shoreside Vale, which, you know, it's a bit odd that there's none located on Staten Island, and by the way, there was a cop back there, but I really don't think that they can arrest you during this. I think they'll just continually run at your vehicle, but they'll never actually throw you and the driver off of the vehicle, but instead you'll just have to worry about them crashing into you and shooting at you along with the people that you're chasing. So whenever you do get knocked off your bike, because it does happen every once in a while, you'll just get respawned back onto it, so you don't have to go through an animation of you and your companion here picking up the bike and all that. So it's a really funny thing, like just seeing them fly off in the corner of the screen, and then they just magically teleport back on. You know, hey, what's the canon for that there? Does Tony have these magical powers that we don't know about or something? I really don't know, but it's entertaining nonetheless, I think, anyways. But overall, you know, I gotta say, yeah, I really didn't think that these things took like 6 minutes each to do. Because that's roughly how long it takes. I know the timer when you start out says 3 minutes and 30 seconds, but thankfully the timer stops in between going between people that you have to chase down and whatnot. So I like that quite a bit. You know, you're not constantly on that timer, because you can get screwed over by the way in which the AI driver drives. That you're, I guess, you know, I should just say our companion here, this blue-capped gentleman. Sometimes he drives not exactly in the best way possible, so it would suck if you were being timed as he's driving like a crappy person. You know, it's not a good thing. So I like that they pause the time there and only start it when you get into range of who you're shooting at. I mean, look at things like that. I mean, this guy, he's just doing flips and stuff here. I mean, that poor guy we were running over too. Oh man. And then, of course, the cops there. I'm surprised we didn't fall off there. But, you know, either way, you get the idea. This guy, he has some problems going on. And I think the next person might be the best at driving from my experience, maybe because of the area that you're in. That has something to do with it too. There's a lot of pillars and I suppose hilly roads that we have to drive up on and stuff, so I don't know, this whole thing's a mess, and you may have noticed that time slowed down back there, and if anything I would speed up this video, but in that particular case the video slowed down, and that's because in the game you have these adrenaline pills that you can use and activate, so I like that quite a bit. You have 3 of them for each of these missions, and they just make it to where you slow down time, so it's in theory easier to shoot, but you still have moments where the where the aimer jitters and whatnot, so it's still a bit troublesome to properly get these precision kills, and you can see it more right here as I'm trying to get the guy in the back, which, you know, is really neat that you see these vehicles being used in these ways where people are performing drive-bys out of them. You know, I like that quite a bit too. It's very interesting, and I wish, you know, you could recruit people to do the same with a vehicle that you're using, or something like a Bobcat or these Patriots that we're running after. And I don't know, I just always like that when you see things like that. You know, it's not often. I mean, there were a few instances, and I know San Andreas, where I remember Ryder in particular, like being in the back of a van throwing boxes out that explode, and then I think that's the mission robbing Uncle Sam, actually, where you rob that military base, and then you come out with all these different crates and stuff, and then you can just have Ryder throw these explosive boxes at Patriots that are chasing after you. So it's, you know, kind of like the reverse here in a way, you know, instead of Patriots chasing us, we're the ones chasing Patriots. So anyways, there's my 12 kills there, which is more than you need, but I just decided to run out the timer as best I could before exploding. Which is also a pretty funny sight. I mean, it's just very comical what goes on here in these 3D era Grand Theft Auto games. That's I think part of the appeal, but either way, you know, more comic business here is that this woman is driving us on this Faggio, so, well, yeah, I suppose you could make a really controversial joke about that, so I'll stay away from that territory, but, you know, either way, the Faggio isn't exactly the best vehicle to be using in something like this, but thankfully we're chasing after ice cream vans here, so it's all just so, like, silly and outlandish. Like, you don't get this in the HD era games at all, so, you know, it's best to enjoy these moments as best you can here, but, you know, either way, these ice cream vans are no match for my SMG and this Faggio, and like I said, I remember this woman being a lot better of a driver than the first person. I don't seem to remember us flipping too often, like that one guy was just flipping up against the wall and he ran over some guy in front of us too. And then we're going to see more of that with the third and final guy. And something I think I was about to mention, but I stopped, is that you have 2 of these missions on Portland, but then you don't have any on Shoreside Vale, and then you have the last one on, I mixed that up there. You know, you have these first 2 on Portland, you don't have any on Staten Island, and then you have 1 on Shoreside Vale. So you don't go to Staten Island at all. And maybe the reason for that is because they knew that the AI driving wasn't the best in the world, so you have a few, you know, overhead pathways and bridges and stuff that are over water and cliffs and stuff, so it would really suck if you fell off, because there's really no way of recovering from that, unless they, like, made it to where... I mean, you just see that lady just fly off like that. But, you know, it would be really crappy to experience that if you just would constantly, whenever you would have to go over these bridges, if you just fell off because you had to make a U-turn or something, which would potentially happen if you, like, killed your enemy on the bridge, and then, you know, the new enemies spawn behind you or something. So that would be really crappy. So it would be cool to be on Staten Island to do something like this, especially because most of the roads are flat, but at the same time it could be very problematic because the AI driving isn't the smartest in the world. But I suppose the people that we're chasing after, though, are Colombian cartel members in this particular mission, and in the other one, in that first mission, was Yardies. And again, you know, we're using Colombian cartel cruisers in ways that you might not see before. You have somebody in that back area shooting at you, so oh man, I just find that to be super awesome. And You really don't see it like in Grand Theft Auto games outside of in certain missions. I wish it was something like even in San Andreas, where when you recruit gang members, you can have somebody hop in like the back of a Bobcat, which is normally like a 2-seat vehicle, so it's like in San Andreas you can only really recruit one person and have them, hang out with you, and then, well, anybody else after that is kind of screwed out because there's no more room, in quotation marks, even though they could easily fit, maybe 2 more people in the back seat or whatever, but I suppose that's not a thing, and that's unfortunate, because it's a lot of fun. It almost seems more fun than having a 4-door car, because you're getting all wild and stuff, and you know what? No, I take it all back, because in Grand Theft Auto 5, it has changed a bit, because I remember with Trevor Phillips, in like the first mission that you play as him with, you have your 2 fellas with you, Seymour and McGee, and one of them is sitting in the back, so hey, I guess that does get changed a bit in Grand Theft Auto 5 anyways, but hey, we gotta wait like 10 years after the release of this game. Well, maybe not 10 years, but this is 2005, and GTA 5 was in 2012 or 13, so yeah, it was less than 10 years, but you get the idea, though. We had to wait a while before getting a feature like that, but either way, here's something that's really cool. It's just so silly, too. This guy's in a Landstalker, and then he just pops open the trunk area, and then he just starts shooting at you. I mean, that is awesome right there. I like that quite a bit. Maybe even more than me going crazy over, like, the Bobcats and Patriots stuff, because you never see that. And that actually reminds me of this Tom Clancy game that just came out, Tom Clancy Wildlands, that I've been playing with my buddies, and there's often times where you have to basically kidnap somebody to take them to an area in which you start interrogating them, and something you can do with certain vehicles, like with the Landstalker type of vehicles, that you can throw the person that you're kidnapping in the trunk, like how this guy is, except he won't like start shooting or anything. But I'm just reminded of that. You're using the back area as like a storage area, so I think that's really cool. But anyways, we got really close there with the damage meter, but thankfully you only need 8 kills for this one. So, there's kind of a theme going on here, because it seems like for all of these, I'm getting 2 more kills than what is required, because for that first mission, you need 10, and I get 12, and then for that one, you need 8, and I get 10, and then for this Shoreside Vale one, you need 10, but I get 12 again, so, I mean, I'm just kind of making this video a bit longer than it has to be, but I suppose that's okay, because some ladies like that, but also, we're all having a good time here, it's not exactly hurting nobody, I don't think anyways, but either way, we've moved on to the third one, and speaking of hurting things, this old man driving this freeway is, a fiend's fiend, really. I mean, he's a spaz, and you can already tell from that turn there, but overall, this guy just goes crazy sometimes when he makes his U-turns, and I really don't know why he makes the choices he makes, but I suppose we have no choice but to go along with his choices, so either way, something I kind of don't like about the Shoreside Vale one, which is kind of okay because it makes everything kind of happen very quickly, but all the enemies tend to spawn on this swervy road if you're fast enough, which is obviously the point. You want to be as fast as possible, but I don't know, I kind of would have liked to have gone to other areas of Shoreside Vale, but at the same time we're seeing all these Group Sex vans, or Group A Sex. I mean, I guess that really didn't change a whole lot for the SECHS, I guess way in which I tried saying it, but either way, or I guess such is, whatever. But I like those little play on words that are on the side of the security cars. It's pretty funny stuff there, I think. It's not full frontal in your face like how one of those billboards are back there, which I'll touch on after we deal with this situation here. You see this old man. I don't know why he went over here. I guess he has no wall detection, but you see this, he reverses, but he still decides to go forward, and he recovers. I mean, it's just insane at this guy, at what this guy does. I mean, I just don't get it myself. I don't know if I could pull that off. This guy, he's just like, Tony, check this, fam, and then he does that little reverse thing, and it's crazy, because it really does look like he's maybe saying something as he's reversing, even though he's clearly not, but in my head, I like thinking he's telling Tony something like that, as he does that maneuver behind that, I guess, fence-like wall thing. So, and speaking of things, you have that billboard that, I was kind of mentioning earlier, and that it's just hilarious because it's just so obvious what it's implying there. It's a movie poster for the movie called The Third Leg, and you can, without even seeing any visuals, you can already imagine what that would imply there. But I'd love to see the female version of that, which would likely be called The Third Lip, because of labias and all that. But anyways, you get the idea there. And back there we also had, and we're going to see it right now, you see that Donald Love poster thing in the background? It's like a biopic on Donald Love, or maybe kind of a pseudo biopic or whatever. It's based on a true story or something like that. And that's pretty cool because it's using Grand Theft Auto 3's Donald Love's concept art, but as a movie poster in this game. So, I really like that quite a bit there. And it's something that's kind of funny, though, is that there's a 3-year gap in between the events that go on in Liberty City Stories and the events that go on in 3. And within those 3 years, some of these characters have aged drastically, and it's almost like some of these characters have aged 10 years in those 3 years. I mean, you take a look at Tony Cipriani, and it's like in this game, he's youthful, he's a fit fella, he's full of energy, or, for the most part. There are moments where he's fed up with whatever's going on, like with Maria especially, but, you get the idea, though. He doesn't give the appearance of someone who's, kind of hit their midlife point, but in Grand Theft Auto 3, it looks like Tony is past his midlife point because he's this, very overweight fella. He has this huskier, heavier, deeper voice, and it doesn't sound like things are going too well for him. I mean, I suppose in Grand Theft Auto 3, he's moved in back with Ma Cipriani, and I think most people would age drastically when they spend extended amount of times with Ma Cipriani. So I guess that's, your explanation there. He probably picked up smoking just to kind of take the pressure off, to get away from everything. So that's why his voice sounds different. But then you also look at like someone like Donald Love, who is also a bit different. He's less eccentric and more mature and serious in Grand Theft Auto 3, and he also looks like he kind of gained a bit of weight too. But either way, although he does like practice some type of exercise with the old Oriental gentleman in some cutscenes in Grand Theft Auto 3. But either way, we're gonna see if this tactic works again for this old man, and it didn't. So. Thanks a lot, guy, for doing that U-turn thing back there. I mean, it's like they know that they can reverse, but they decide not to reverse completely, like, out of that area. Instead, they just reverse a little bit to where they can try to make a U-turn instead of just making a reverse U by reversing out of there. So, I don't know, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but thankfully it's funny, so I forgive you, game. But either way, this is the first enemy that... well, I guess second enemy that is out of that loop. The first one and the last one are out of that little swervy area thing, so that's kind of cool. We're going into the Cochrane Dam and such, but it's amazing how quickly these guys just shoot me down. You see this? It's like instant almost in terms of me exploding there, because it seemed like I had a good amount of health left, but I suppose not enough to handle those fiends with their assault rifle shooting at me. But anyways, that completes this part. Very fun stuff, I think, anyways. And in the next part, we'll be kind of going to less fun stuff because we're doing vehicle checkpoint missions in the next part. So, it's like that off-road style of collecting checkpoints in a certain amount of time in a restricted area. So, I don't know. It's, we'll see how it goes. But either way, that's what we'll be doing in the next part. So, until then, I will see you next time.